Sometimes I feel like other people see me as a waste of potential, and I don't feel like I'm a waste of potential. I think that I live up to my potential just fine according to my own standards, but that other people hold me to their standards, and that can lead to some complications. Because let's say someone has invested lots of time and money into their education and career and have made their career their entire life, and that is the I don't know what you call it, recognition or whatever that they receive within their career is, something they're very proud of, their highest achievement in life. And so if I tell them that that is not important to me, for me to personally achieve that, I'm afraid that they're going to see that as me telling them that all of their achievements and everything are unimportant, because they are unimportant to me, but I can't express to someone else that your life goals are completely unimportant to me as a, like, personally, I don't want those, but yay for you. Because I've had pressure before from friends and family to continue my education, get a PhD. I don't even, and master's. I don't have a master's either, but I have a bachelor's degree. I've had pressure to continue that. I've had pressure to advance within my career. I've had pressure to utilize and monetize my talents. I don't want to do any of that stuff. Like, my talents, for one thing, art and music, those are my hobbies. And I incorporate my special interests into that. And those are things that I do for fun. And while, yeah, it'd be nice to make money doing something that you find enjoyable, I ran into this problem when I was in my first year of college. I got a piano scholarship and I was in the piano honors program. I spent all freaking day in the music department from the time I woke up until the time I went to bed at night. I was, in classes all day. I took 18 credit hours. And then I had work study in the music department. And then I spent the rest of the night doing homework and practicing. I was so burnt out. So burnt out. I had a lot happen my first year of college. But anyway, it made me start hating music. And I didn't want to hate music. So it made me change my major. And so I just learned from that if I try to spend all that time that it would take to get any kind of music degree, that by the end I would have a degree in something that I had made myself absolutely miserable doing and make myself hate it. And I didn't want to hate music, so I didn't do that. And so I also didn't do anything with it in any kind of way where I would be dependent on that for money, because then I would be forced to do it, and I never really considered myself uh, to have a persistent drive for autonomy back when it was called pathological demand avoidance. I didn't think that I qualified under that label. But when you call it persistent drive for autonomy, that sounds a little more like it to me. But whenever I feel forced to do something, there becomes all of this stress surrounding it and avoidance of, wanting to, like, oh man, I have to do that and I don't want to do that right now, and it's always like lurking in the back of my mind. And it just, oh, just the thought of it kind of makes, my stomach, my abs tighten. Like, oh, I'm just like anticipating this punch in the gut that I'm going to get from having to do this thing that I don't want to do at that minute. Whereas if I didn't have the responsibility to do it and could freely do the thing whenever I felt like it wouldn't cause any distress. So whenever people have encouraged me to pursue my talents as a career, I'm always so hesitant, because with that responsibility comes dread. And I don't always have the ability to paint or play the piano. I don't always, it's like sometimes the ability just runs away from me and hides. And I'm sure it's there, but I will sit and look at a canvas that, it may be like I painted every day on this one particular piece for a month, and then sit down to continue it, and my brain just freezes. And I'm like, okay, I can't do anything to this today. And then I can't do anything to this today turns into a couple of months. And one reason why I don't do commissioned art is because the last time I did, well, except for a commissioned piece for a piece I started that halfway through someone said they wanted to buy, and then I felt pressured to speed it up. But when I was commissioned to paint a portrait of someone's child, she joked and said, oh, as long as you have it finished by the time he's 18. He was 10 years old at the time. Well, somebody turned 18 and I hadn't finished the portrait because it felt like such pressure. I had started it and I had given up on that one and tossed it. And I started another one. And my ex called it the faceless boy forever, because he was like, man, you really need to finish that creepy little faceless boy in there. Because I painted over and over the features I couldn't get just right, because children are difficult to paint or draw without aging them. Because if you show their little tiny features, it ages them. And so you have to get it just right. So that was the last time I was commissioned to paint anything. Oh my gosh. So I just paint whatever I feel like painting, whenever I feel like painting it. And if somebody sees it and wants to buy it, then that's great. But I don't promote myself. other than just posting it on Instagram or whatever, or whatever, showing it on a video. But my friend said, I really wish you would just call a few galleries. And I said, if it involves me making a phone call, it's not going to happen. uh, it's a miracle that I ever made a phone call to get myself an appointment for therapy, because I must have really wanted to live. Because I hate making phone calls so much. And she said, my friend was just like, I'm just so worried that one day when you're dead and gone, they're going to open your house and find all this art that you've done, and it's just been in there the whole time and no one's seen it. And she said, I'm just afraid you'll become the Emily Dickinson of art. And I was like, are you serious? That sounds amazing, because then I won't have to deal with any kind of, I don't know, social stuff, or attention that's unwanted or anything like that. And she was just like, I just think that you should, get some recognition for it, or some, monetize it. And I'm like, I don't want any of that right now. It feels, just you talking about it feels like so much pressure, and it just stresses me. Like, I on the phone call with her, I just got completely stressed out just thinking about that, because she was, talking about like websites and drop ship printing, and oh my gosh, all of this stuff that, if she happened to just take all that on herself and set it up for me, I might not freak out as much over, but I would still freak out, because it's not just as easy as someone setting it up and leaving it. But I don't know why I've heard from several people, oh, that's such a waste. And I think that's kind of a rude comment. Like, are you painting? Not right now. Oh, it's such a waste. If I were you, that's where it really gets me. When people start saying, if I were you, I would do this. No, you wouldn't. If you were me, that means you'd have my brain, and you wouldn't be able to do it either. And if you had my talent and your brain, it wouldn't be the same art. It'd be your art. And what I really think is that they could do it if they wanted to. All they have to do is what I did, which is go without TV or internet for several months. That's how that happened. And I grew up drawing, because I obviously grew up without internet, but I grew up drawing as an escape. And that was kind of my thing. And so I just kept right on doing it. And then eventually I started painting, because I didn't start painting until I was like 29, like on a regular basis. I had tried it, but anyway. So there's the pressure to utilize my talents, and then being told that I'm a waste, or that it's a waste, that I don't, that they would do better, basically, with the same gifts that I have. So basically, all it boils down to is that I'm not doing things the way they want it done, so they see me as a waste of potential. And in my career, I'm a website administrator, and I make maps and do some graphic design and make signs and things. So it's a pretty good job for an autistic person to have. It's pretty low stress. I don't, I have good benefits. I don't get paid a lot, but I have a private office, and I call it the PETA factor, the pain in the ass factor. PETA factor is really low because dealing with the general public isn't as much of a thing, and computers typically speak my language, so or I theirs. So it's a good fit for me, and I think that that matters more than you know position like hierarchy or salary, because I could I could get paid more and have so much more crap to worry about and be in burnout all the time. Or I could have burnout at the, after I go back to work from quarantine, which is what happened. Uh, Going back after, being isolated for a really long time and not masking for a year and a half, that was kind of a shock to my system. But I don't think that people should act like I'm a freaking waste of potential because I don't make the decisions that they would make, especially when they're neurotypical, because it it's just that they have a different set of values than I have, I guess, and a different brain, different ways of processing information, different sensory experience, all of that, and I'm not a real go getter because, for the main reason, I don't see any point of going and getting, because I've got everything that I need with the exception of companion animals. And my dogs passed away a few years ago, and it's been a few years since each of them. And I have not moved on. But other than that, there's nothing that I need. And I'm live simply, and it's by choice. And some people don't understand that. They just, look at a simple, unextravagant lifestyle as like the same thing as, I don't know, it's almost like, oh, you must be lazy because you don't have a bunch of debt and a bunch of stuff. Like, no, I'm not. Um, I just don't see the point in racking up a bunch of debt so that I can have a bunch of stuff that isn't going to make me happy. It's just going to stress me out that I paid for a bunch of stuff that's probably going to be obsolete next year anyway. And like, I can understand travel, but I also am limited by my sensory issues when it comes, and autism, everything that goes with it, when it comes to travel, because I have, it's like, sleep is extremely important to me. And if my sleep schedule gets messed up, then it can throw everything off. And so I try not to do any travel that is going to completely throw my sleep schedule off. And so that kind of leaves me limited. And I have traveled all over this country and to like 3 other countries, but and I think that's good. I've been to like 39 states. And I like to travel in an unextravagant way. I like camping. I like to go to a place and pretend like I belong there. That is a fun little game I like to play. Pretend I live here. So when I go somewhere, I just walk around and act like I belong there. That is actually, like, I really have fun doing that. And so I like to go to restaurants that the locals would go to and not like the real touristy trap areas, and just try to fit into a place. And some people are like, oh, you didn't want to go stand in line for 2 hours to go to the. Well, no, that sounds like absolute hell. um, so, yeah, I don't have the same goals. And when it comes to monetization and capitalization of my talents, I see that as pointless because I do those things to make me to make myself happy. Like that is what makes me happy. I don't need to do that to buy something to make me happy. And people don't get that. Like they and it's sad because a couple of the people that, pressure me to use my hobbies to make money, I can't think of any hobbies that they have. So maybe they don't understand what it's like. That, no, this is what makes me happy. I don't need to buy a thing to, I mean, I need art supplies, but that's, not any more expensive than groceries. So, well, at least not mine, because I just buy like 5 colors and blend my own paints. But it's just, I just don't make the decisions that other people would make. And then I don't know how to tell them, I don't want to live my life the way you live yours, without it sounding as insulting as it just sounded, probably. But that's the truth. I don't want to live my life that way because their way works for them, but it may not work for them, but however they live their life definitely doesn't work for me. And so I just have to do what I have to do and accept that they see me as a freaking waste of potential. And that's okay. It just is what it is, I guess.